I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. Today, I'd like you to consider that your feelings are not personal. This is it's somewhat very strange to talk about feelings in this way because for a lot of us, feelings are like the most personal part of our experience. It's because of all of the chemicals that create the somatic experience inside of us. The fact that I can't feel your feelings, you can't feel my feelings. People are subject to identifying with their emotions as a result. But I'm under the opinion that our feelings aren't really personal. Rather, they are the consequence of our thinking. Behind every feeling is a thought, and thoughts are fairly impersonal. I could write down some of my thoughts on a piece of paper, hand it to you, you could read that piece of paper, and suddenly my thought is in your head. And if we both choose to believe the same thought, we will likely then experience very similar emotions as a result. So for example, if I were to think the thought, I'm a worthless individual and nobody loves me, and I really were to believe that to be true, it would be very difficult for me not to feel somewhat dejected and depressed. And if you also were to think that thought, that I am a worthless individual, nobody loves me, and you really believe that is true, you likely will also feel dejected and somewhat depressed. It would be very difficult to think that thought, believe it to be true, and feel, let's say, content and confident. So our feelings have more to do with what we choose to believe to be true than who we are as a person. And on some level, the same feeling or a very similar feeling can be cultivated in other people simply as a consequence of sharing similar ideas or beliefs. So what does this mean? This means that if we want to cultivate different emotional states, we have to be very intentional about the thoughts that we choose to validate, the thoughts that we choose to believe to be true. It's not possible to believe certain things are true and feel however we want. This is something I often say to my clients, is that you're free to think however you want. However, you're not free to feel however you wish as a consequence of what you choose to think. So for example, if a person chooses to think those thoughts, like for example, I'm a worthless individual and nobody really cares about me, that person really, on some level, isn't free to feel contented and confident as a consequence of thinking those thoughts. Now, it's not an easy thing to simply change the way that somebody thinks, but it is possible, and it's one of the best routes towards creating sustainable emotional change in an individual. We'll talk more about how to do that in future episodes. So please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for some more.